Hello. Well, my name is Eric, and welcome. I feel like for the last little bit that I have been feeling this call to create things rather than consume. I have, I think if you look at my life, for the last little bit, I have spent a lot of time taking in information, whether that be through podcasts, whether that be through videos, whether that be through music. I have this desire to learn, which is helpful a lot of the time, but also is something that can turn negative, and it's probably something that a lot of us can relate to as we get so caught up in learning more, and then with that turns into kind of a habit. But you're consuming 24/7 when you don't really have anything to show for that. And so I have felt probably for 6 months now that I should be channeling a lot of what I'm learning into growing other people, sharing. I want to live a life of purpose and a life of meaning, and that's a lot of what this channel will hopefully be about. But I feel like if I am just consuming 24/7, that's not a meaningful life. It can be something that helps support a meaningful life, but it's not something that furthers, the call to create, to act, to follow through on a project, or to make something that is going to meaningfully influence other people. And so for the last 6 months, as I said, I feel like I have been having this little urge to create something. And so I wanted to create this space, this kind of YouTube, social media space to share. And it is terrifying. I am very scared of just like putting things out to the world. It's uncomfortable, it's new, but that's also learning, and so I'm both nervous and excited. But I just have felt like I want to build a place where, especially with men, we could talk about how we can kind of build a life with values, and with a value structure that really results in a life filled with purpose and meaning. And I'm certainly going to come at it from a framework of Christianity, of faith. I am a Christian, a follower of Jesus, and I'm not going to shy away from that. And so I want this, I think as we go, this will be quite led by a Christian value structure. But I'm no theologian. I am just someone who was constantly trying to learn about God, learn about faith, and how it can, and how using those principles can really build a beneficial life. So there will certainly be some theological stuff. There will certainly be some ways of thinking that are undeniably Christian. But I also want this to be a very open place for discussion, and I want to create we're going to talk about big topics, I hope, that will require us to look at things from a whole bunch of different perspectives. And so I am wanting just to be very open's not the right word, but I want to really be open to talking about every aspect of an idea and talk about the interactions between those, why it is that way, And that's something I'm quite excited to do, and I think I've always really believed that the truth and the right idea will rise to the top. That um, the solution or the idea that is correct will stand for itself. It'll um, be able to defend itself. And so I've found, personally, that often it is the Christian model that I have found to stand for itself and to be that is able to defend itself when you throw these kind of intellectual ideas at it. But I want to explore that further, and I enjoy the process of exploring how big topics and faith interact. And so, yeah, I just want to kind of take you on the journey of that with me. I want to the things that I'm spending time learning about that I find really interesting, I think others might find interesting. If that's something you're interested in, watch along. If it's something you're not interested in, all good. But especially as a man, especially as a husband, and honestly someone growing up in what is becoming a more and more busy and conflicting world, I have found that there are just so many priorities pulling us in different directions. I think, if you look at the entertainment industry, if you look at politics, if you look at all these, even things like the pandemic and things like that, all of these things are require us to have a bit of value structure into how we make decisions about how we as men and as people are going to make our way through these scenarios. And so I have found it really useful to have this kind of, frankly, Christian value structure to help me know how to navigate these situations. But I want to keep exploring that. I want to understand why we make decisions the way that we do. I want to understand more, honestly, is probably the best way of putting into it. But with all of these conflicting priorities, all of these things that are pulling us in different directions, wanting our attention 24/7, I guess I've been really interested in how to appropriately build a stable life within that. Because you could end up just yo-yoing back and forth between all these things taking your attention. And so where I want to get to personally, but also share about, is how do you build a really emotionally stable life in a world where the world is trying to elicit emotional responses to make you buy something or to make you choose a certain way of thinking. I want to understand how to, create a stable physical body personally. Some of what we'll look at might be fitness, because that's just part of my life and that's something I want to share about as well. And so I have felt like, okay, there's all these things trying to make us given to greed and hunger and personally, I love food, but sometimes I can have an unhealthy relationship with it. So what are the values that I can put in place that are going to stabilize that, make me a healthier person, but also one with the energy that I need to do what I want to do. I think it's so important for us to talk about what values create a really healthy marriage. I'm really blessed to have an amazing wife, and she's amazing, she's brilliant, and she builds me up to be a better man, and I hope I do the same for her. But the world right now is a place where building healthy relationships is actually really hard. We're now supposed to build relationships over a screen rather than in person. And so, yeah, I hope that we can delve into some of the values that would create a healthy relationships. But yeah, I really want to put it across and bring it across that this is not a place where I'm just going to go, hey, here's how to do all of these things. I'm not an expert. I am young. I'm 25. I'm still figuring things out. But I think in the process of me trying to figure it out, others might be interested. I want to learn from you. I want to, be interacting and understanding what others are interested in. And I want it to be life-giving in that we are increasing the net good in the world we are in. If I was just to learn all of these things for myself, it would be good, but I wouldn't be being a net good to others. And so I hope that as we interact, we can all be a net good for each other. And I really like the way Jordan Peterson puts it, and it's one of the reasons that I've kind of tried to frame it the way that I have, is that he talks about living a life that is spiraling upwards and making decisions that are spiraling upwards versus those that are spiraling downwards. So to me at least, I want to understand the framework behind how we make decisions that spiral upwards towards A, heaven, and B, towards good overall. And I am really interested in to where that might take us. I have planned very little. I want this to be somewhat off the cuff, and I am just more than anything hoping to learn from it, but also to be a positive influence to those around me. So I'm excited for it. As I said, I'm terrified for it, but I think it could be really cool. And so feel free to join me. And yeah, if this is something you're interested in, subscribe, do all those good things. I don't want to become one of those people that is like, hey, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button, but who knows. But yeah, if this is something that you've been thinking about as well, in terms of like thinking about the structures of how the world works, I guess there's so much history that I'm excited to dive into. There's so much psychology, there's so much theology, but there's also kind of the practical application. And so I hope that this will be a really good mix of all of those four. The reality is that we live in a world that is, we need to understand how to apply the values that we have in this kind of theoretical space to how to live it out in reality. And so I guess when we're talking and going forward, I want that to be I want it to be practical in that we might spend some time thinking about an idea really theoretically, and there's a lot of people who I admire that talk about what this looks like in the theoretical space with psychology and theology, and also just discussing interesting topics in depth. But there's a little part of that is talking about what the practical application is for us into our ways of thinking, into our relationships, into the decisions that we're making on a day-to-day basis, into the actions that we're taking on a day-to-day basis. And I find that really interesting. So join me. It'll be fun. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And yeah, wish me luck, because this is terrifying. Yeah, cool. And we'll see you in the next one. Don't know what it is yet, but we will find out.